The world holds its breath, gripped by a sense of uncertainty and anxiety that stretches from bustling city centers to quiet rural towns. People everywhere are glued to their screens, watching events unfold in real time, aware that what happens next could reshape the global landscape for generations. Tensions are rising rapidly in the Taiwan Strait, a narrow but strategically vital waterway that has become the epicenter of a growing international crisis. The presence of warships and military aircraft has become a daily reality, with both sides demonstrating their resolve and readiness. For decades, this slender stretch of water has been a potential flashpoint between two of the world's most powerful nations, China and the United States. The Taiwan Strait is more than just a geographic boundary. It's a symbol of competing visions for the future of Asia and the world. Today, July 13, 2025, the stakes have never been higher. Every hour brings new developments, and the sense of urgency is palpable in capitals around the globe. Beijing's rhetoric grows sharper by the day, with official statements warning of dire consequences for any interference. Its military drills near Taiwan are larger and more aggressive than ever before, sending a clear message to both Taipei and Washington. In Washington, the mood has shifted dramatically. Where once there was cautious optimism, now there is a sense of urgency and determination. American officials are working around the clock, launching a full-scale diplomatic push to rally support and prevent escalation. The question facing the world is no longer if a crisis will erupt, but when, and perhaps more importantly, who will stand with whom when it does. Alliances are being tested, and old assumptions are being challenged as leaders weigh their options. A conflict over Taiwan would be nothing short of catastrophic. It would draw in the world's largest economies and most powerful militaries, disrupting global trade, sending shockwaves through financial markets, and threatening the stability of entire regions. The United States is now pressing its closest allies, Japan and Australia, to make a choice that could define the course of the 21st century. These decisions are not just about military commitments, but about the values and principles that will shape the future world order. Quiet diplomacy, once conducted behind closed doors, is giving way to public demands for clarity and commitment. The world's media is watching, and so are millions of ordinary citizens who sense that history is being written in real time. As American diplomats meet with their counterparts in Tokyo and Canberra, the stakes could not be higher. The world watches these intense negotiations, wondering if this push for unity will be enough to deter war, or if it might inadvertently spark the very conflict everyone fears. The fate of Taiwan and the stability of the global order hang in the balance. In the coming days, the choices made by leaders across the world will determine not only the future of a small island, but the peace and prosperity of billions. To truly grasp the stakes at play in this region, you must first understand why Taiwan matters so much, not just to its own people, but to the entire world. Taiwan is the world's undisputed semiconductor powerhouse. Its microchips are the invisible engines that drive our modern lives, powering everything from the smartphones in our pockets and the cars we drive, to the servers that run the internet, and the medical equipment that saves lives in hospitals. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, alone produces over 90% of the world's most advanced chips. This single company is the beating heart of global technology, making Taiwan indispensable to the digital age. Any disruption to Taiwan's chip industry would trigger a global economic crisis, far worse than any recent supply chain shock. Industries from automotive to healthcare would grind to a halt, and the ripple effects would be felt in every corner of the globe. This is why Taiwan's so-called Silicon Shield makes its stability a matter of urgent global concern. The world's economic security is, in many ways, tied to the island's fate. Strategically, Taiwan sits at the heart of the first island chain, a string of islands that forms a natural barrier, controlling access to the Pacific Ocean and some of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Whoever controls Taiwan holds a key position in the balance of power in Asia. If China were to control Taiwan, it could dramatically reshape Asia's military and economic balance, projecting power far beyond its shores and potentially threatening the interests of neighboring countries and the global order. But Taiwan is more than a strategic asset or an economic engine. It is a thriving democracy, a vibrant society where people freely choose their leaders, speak their minds, and shape their own future. In stark contrast to China's authoritarian system, Taiwan stands as a symbol of freedom and self-determination in the region. For the United States and its allies, defending Taiwan is about more than just geopolitics or economics. It's about upholding the principle that people have the right to decide their own destiny. The fate of this island is a test of the world's commitment to democracy and freedom. China's claim to Taiwan is central to its national identity. Since 1949, Beijing has viewed Taiwan as a breakaway province that must be reunified, by force if necessary. President Xi Jinping has made clear that reunification cannot be postponed forever. China's military pressure is relentless. Jets in Taiwan's airspace, naval drills simulating invasion. The US has responded with strategic ambiguity, arming Taiwan, but never promising direct intervention. This policy aimed to deter both a Chinese invasion and a Taiwanese declaration of independence. For decades it kept the peace. But as China's power grows, Washington fears ambiguity now signals weakness. The US is shifting from calculated vagueness to demanding explicit commitments from its allies. The era of ambiguity is ending. The era of quiet assumptions and unspoken understandings is over. The geopolitical landscape is shifting, and with it, the need for clarity and commitment has become paramount. The United States is now urging its key allies, Japan and Australia, to make concrete commitments. This is not just a diplomatic request but a strategic necessity in the face of potential Chinese aggression towards Taiwan. Gone are the days of vague statements and ambiguous promises. Washington is demanding detailed answers to a critical question: what actions will you take if war erupts in the region? To this end, high-level meetings and joint military planning sessions are already underway. These discussions are not just about preparation, but about forging a unified strategy. The ultimate goal is to develop an integrated coalition-based war plan. This approach aims to prevent isolated national responses and instead foster a cohesive strategy that leverages the strengths of each ally. The logic behind this is straightforward. If China perceives any weakness or lack of resolve among the allies, it might be tempted to gamble on a swift and decisive victory. By compelling its allies to declare their intentions openly, the US aims to present a united front that could deter Beijing from taking aggressive actions. However, critics caution that this strategy could backfire. They argue it might provoke China further or lock all parties into a path of inevitable confrontation. Yet, in the corridors of power in Washington, the prevailing sentiment is that the risk of inaction now outweighs the potential risks of taking decisive action. This demand for clarity and commitment is reshaping the security dynamics of the Indo-Pacific region, creating new alliances and strengthening existing ones. Allies are faced with a choice. Will they be active participants in shaping the future of the region, or will they remain passive bystanders? The stakes have never been higher, and the decisions made today will have far-reaching consequences for the future of global security. Picking a side isn't just about words, it's about action. The US wants Japan and Australia to spell out exactly what military and logistical support they'll provide if war erupts. For Japan, this means access to bases, missile defense, and possibly direct combat if the conflict spreads. For Australia, it's about serving as a logistics hub, hosting US forces, and helping secure sea lanes. The US also wants pre-agreed economic sanctions, even if it hurts allied economies. This is Cold War-level integration and planning, meant to deter China by showing a united, ready front. The message deterrence only works if everyone is truly committed. For Japan and Australia, the US demand for clarity is a dilemma. Both are US allies, but China is their top trading partner. Committing to the US could trigger devastating economic retaliation from Beijing. Japan faces legal and political hurdles. Its constitution limits military action and public opinion is deeply pacifist. Australia fears for its exports and jobs. Both worry about being drawn into a war by unpredictable US decisions. Their hesitation isn't disloyalty, it's a rational response to enormous risk. The choice is agonizing: security with America or prosperity with China. The US push for clarity has sparked fierce debate. Supporters say only a clear, united front will deter China. Ambiguity now looks like weakness. Critics warn that drawing red lines could provoke Beijing, making war more likely. Military planners want certainty and pre-planning. Diplomats prefer flexibility and open channels. The risk clarity could close off diplomatic solutions and lock everyone into confrontation. The tension between military readiness and diplomatic flexibility is at the heart of the debate. Will this new strategy prevent war, or make it inevitable? The answer is anything but clear. A war over Taiwan would hit every home, everywhere. The world's tech sector would collapse. No new smartphones, cars, or computers as chip production halts. Industries would grind to a halt, jobs would vanish, and a global recession would follow. Shipping lanes through the Taiwan Strait and South China Sea would close, sending prices for goods and fuel soaring. Countries like Japan and South Korea would face energy crises. The human cost would be immense: political instability, refugee flows, and shattered security. International cooperation on issues like climate change would falter. The sense of global stability would vanish. A Taiwan war would be a global calamity. No one would be spared. The stakes are personal, not just political. The world stands at a crossroads: clarity versus caution. The US push for allied commitments is bold, aiming to deter catastrophe. But it forces all sides to confront hard truths. Alliances, prosperity, and national ambitions are on the line. Seeking clarity has raised the stakes and made the crisis urgent. Preventing war will require more than military posturing. It demands relentless diplomacy. Open channels between Washington, Beijing, Tokyo, and Canberra are vital. Understanding each other's red lines and fears is essential to avoid disaster. The choices made now will shape the world for decades. Only by balancing strength with diplomacy can we hope for peace over war.